I thought it was just her. Then I saw the entire house filled with alien beauties. The unexpected invitation. The coordinates had arrived through encrypted channels, signed only with a luminous seal that pulsed like a heartbeat on his navigation screen. Captain Cale Novaris adjusted his ship's trajectory toward the stellar nebula, his curiosity overriding his usual caution. The message had mentioned Lyrian of Zalath, a name whispered in academic circles as brilliantly reclusive, a xenobiologist whose theories on interspecies communication had revolutionized diplomatic relations. As his vessel descended through clouds of silver mist, the manor materialized like something from a dream. Crystal spires twisted toward twin moons, while bioluminescent vines crawled along walls that seemed to breathe with their own life. Cale had expected a modest research facility, perhaps a small team of assistants. What greeted him shattered every expectation. The moment he crossed the threshold, melodic laughter cascaded from multiple rooms. Through archways of polished obsidian, he glimpsed figures moving with liquid grace. A woman with skin like polished amber paused in the corridor, her violet eyes steadying him with amused interest. Another, whose hair floated like underwater silk, offered him a knowing smile before disappearing around a corner. "You must be the explorer," a voice like wind chimes announced. Before him stood a Centauri female, her peacock blue skin shimmering with natural bioluminescence. "Lyrian said you might arrive today, though she didn't mention you'd look so wonderfully confused." Cale struggled to maintain his composure as more women emerged from various chambers. Each was stunning in her unique way, one with crystalline features that refracted light into tiny rainbows, another whose movements left trails of stardust in the air. They gathered in the grand foyer, their collective presence overwhelming his senses with exotic perfumes and the soft hum of various alien physiologies. "Where is Lyrian?" he managed, his voice rougher than intended. "Patience, Captain," the Centauri woman replied, gesturing toward a spiral staircase that seemed to ascend into starlight. "She awaits in her private study. But first, you must understand, we are not mere residents here. We are her chosen sisters, her protectors, her heart family. Each of us came here seeking knowledge and found something far more precious." The implications hung in the air like a question. Cale felt the weight of dozens of eyes upon him, evaluating, measuring, perhaps even testing his resolve. The Garden of Stars. Cale followed 3 of Lyrian's companions through corridors that seemed to shift and breathe with living energy. The Centauri woman, who introduced herself as Mora, led the way while a delicate Eridani named Silvus and a statuesque vegan called Thera flanked him on either side. Their presence was both comforting and unsettling, like being escorted by living art. The garden doors opened to reveal an impossible vista, a greenhouse where alien flora from 100 worlds grew in harmonious chaos. Bioluminescent flowers pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat, while crystalline trees chimed soft melodies in the artificial breeze. Above them, the transparent dome revealed the nebula's swirling colors, casting everything in ethereal light. "Lyrian cultivated this herself," Silvus explained, her voice like flowing water. "She plucked a silver bloom that immediately transformed into butterflies of light, circling Cale before dissolving into stardust. Each plant represents a world she's studied, a culture she's embraced. She believes in unity through understanding." Mora gestured toward a circular pool at the garden's heart, where liquid starlight seemed to ripple with its own consciousness. "This is where we perform the Zalathi ritual of intention. If you truly wish to meet Lyrian as she is, not as the legend you've heard, you must be willing to be vulnerable." Cale hesitated, watching as Thera dipped her fingers into the pool, causing it to glow brighter.
"What does it do?" Kale asked. "It reveals truth," Thera said simply. "Your genuine emotions become visible, like aurora lights dancing on your skin. Deception becomes impossible. It's how Lyrian knew we were sincere when each of us arrived, seeking her knowledge but finding her friendship." Taking a breath, Kale knelt beside the pool and submerged his hands. Immediately, waves of color rippled across his skin. Deep blue curiosity, golden attraction, and underneath it all, a steady pulse of silver that made the three women exchange knowing glances. "Loneliness," Mora whispered. "The same shade Lyrian carries. No wonder she sent for you." As they led him deeper into the garden, Sylvis began to explain their roles. "We're not her servants or mere companions. We're her chosen family, each bringing something she needed. I taught her the songs of my people. Mora shared the star maps of distant systems, and Thera brought her the courage to open her heart again after—" "After what?" Kale asked, noticing how they all grew quiet. "That's her story to tell," Thera said softly. "But know this, she didn't invite you here lightly. In 5 years, you're the first outsider to receive her personal summons."
Whispers in moonlight. The observation deck stretched out like a platform among the stars, its transparent floor giving the illusion of walking on space itself. Kalal found Lyrian there as the twin moons reached their zenith, her silhouette backlit by the nebula's glow. When she turned, his breath caught. She was ethereal, with skin that seemed to contain constellations and eyes that held the depth of unknown galaxies. "Captain Novaris," she said, her voice carrying harmonics that resonated in his chest. "I apologize for the unusual welcome. My sisters can be enthusiastic." "Your sisters?" Kalal stepped closer, drawn by an inexplicable magnetism. "Not by blood, but by choice. Each came seeking my research, but stayed when they found something more." Lyrian moved to the railing, her fingers trailing stardust along its surface. "I've read your expedition logs, Kalal. May I call you that? You write about the loneliness of deep space with such poetry, such aching honesty." He joined her at the railing, close enough to feel the warmth radiating from her unusual physiology. "Most people skip those parts, focus on the discoveries. The discoveries mean nothing without understanding the heart that makes them." She turned to face him fully, and he saw vulnerability beneath her otherworldly beauty. "I invited you because your words echoed my own isolation. Even surrounded by those who care for me, I felt incomplete, as if I was waiting for something, someone who could understand both the vastness of space and the intimacy of a single touch." Without thinking, Kalal reached out, his fingers barely grazing her hand. Where they touched, soft phosphorescence bloomed up both their arms like gentle fire. Lyrian gasped, her eyes widening with wonder. "The compatibility response," she breathed. "I've studied it for years but never experienced. It only happens when two beings are perfectly synchronized on molecular and emotional levels." "What does it mean?" Kalal asked, though his racing heart already knew. Instead of answering with words, Lyrian stepped into his embrace, her form fitting against his as if they were two pieces of a cosmic puzzle. The phosphorescence enveloped them both, creating a cocoon of soft light. When she tilted her face up to his, her lips were warm and tasted of starlight and promises. "It means," she whispered against his mouth, "that sometimes the universe conspires to bring souls together across impossible distances." The Trial of Hearts. The morning brought an unexpected summons. Kale found himself in the manor's great hall, where all 12 of Lyrian's companions had gathered in a semicircle. Their expressions ranged from protective concern to gentle curiosity. Lyrian stood beside him, her hand finding his with a reassuring squeeze. "The bond you share with our sister is remarkable," Mora began, her bioluminescent skin pulsing with measured calm.
But Lyrian's heart has been wounded before. We who love her cannot stand by without ensuring your intentions are true." "What would you have me do?" Kale asked, straightening his shoulders. Thera stepped forward, producing a crystal that swirled with captured memories. "Share with us your deepest fear about love. Show us you understand the weight of what you're beginning." Kale accepted the crystal, and immediately his mind flooded with his own buried truths. The crystal projected his memories into the air, his former partner leaving him for someone who stayed planetside, the years of choosing exploration over connection, the nights he'd stared at stars wondering if he'd made himself too alien for human love. "I'm afraid," he said, his voice steady, despite his vulnerability, "that I'll always be torn between the stars and the person I love, that I'll never be enough for either." Sylvesse moved next, her ethereal form shimmering. "And what of children? If Lyrian chose you, your offspring would belong to neither world fully." "They'd belong to both," Kale replied without hesitation. "They'd be bridges, not outcasts, living proof that love transcends species." One by one, each guardian posed their challenges. Questions about sacrifice, dedication, and the practicalities of interspecies romance. With each answer, Kale felt the room's energy shifting, warming. Finally, the youngest guardian, a Pleiadian barely out of adolescence, asked simply, "But do you love her?" Before Kale could respond, Lyrian stepped forward, her skin blazing with phosphorescent passion. "Enough. You've probed his heart sufficiently." She turned to face them all, her voice carrying an authority he hadn't heard before. "Yes, I've been hurt. Yes, choosing him carries risks. But look at what we've built here. A family born not of obligation, but of choice. Each of you came from different stars, yet we made a home together." She pulled Kale close, and where their bodies touched, the compatibility response flared to life, filling the room with gentle aurora light. "This is my choice. He is my choice. And if you truly love me as sisters, you'll trust my heart." The room fell silent. Then, one by one, each guardian approached, touching their foreheads to Kale's in their species' gesture of acceptance. The house itself seemed to respond, its walls humming with harmonic approval, as if the very structure blessed their union.
Dawn of New Worlds. The night before Kale's planned departure, Lyrian led him to her private chambers, a space he'd never seen before. The room was a marvel of alien architecture, with walls that displayed real-time views of her home planet's 3 sunrises, while floating clusters of bioluminescent organisms provided intimate lighting. "I want to show you something," she whispered, guiding him to a curved alcove where starlight pooled like liquid silver. She pressed her palm to a hidden panel, and the wall transformed into a vast star map. "These are all the worlds I've studied, the cultures I've tried to understand, but none of them ever felt like home until..." "Until what?" Kale prompted, pulling her against him, marveling at how natural it felt despite their biological differences. "Until you walked through my door and made me realize home isn't a place, it's a person." She turned in his arms, her fingers tracing the contours of his face with tender curiosity. "Your ship has room for 2, doesn't it?" Kale's heart leapt. "You'd leave all this? Your research? Your sisters?" "Who says I'm leaving them?" Lyrian smiled, that mysterious expression that had first captivated him. "Mora has already prepared to maintain the manor. The others will visit wherever we dock. And my research, imagine what I could discover traveling with someone who knows the hidden paths between stars." Their lips met with desperate tenderness, the compatibility response now so strong it illuminated the entire room in waves of gold and silver. Kale's hands tangled in her hair that felt like silken starlight, while she pressed closer, every curve of her alien form somehow perfectly aligned with his. "I love you,"
He breathed against her neck, feeling her pulse race with a rhythm slightly different from human, but perfectly synchronized with his own. "And I love you," she replied, her voice harmonizing with emotions that transcended language. "Enough to risk everything for the adventure of us." As dawn broke over the stellar nebula, they stood on the Manor's landing platform, Kale's ship prepared for departure. The 12 guardians had assembled to see them off, each offering gifts, star charts to hidden systems, botanical samples for Lyrian's continued research, and communication crystals to stay connected across the vastness. "Take care of her," Mora said, embracing Kale with genuine warmth. "And let her take care of you. That's what love is. Mutual exploration. Constant discovery." As their ship lifted off, Lyrian settled into the co-pilot seat, her hand finding Kale's across the console. The compatibility response had evolved, no longer a flashy display, but a steady warm glow that connected them like an invisible thread. "Where to first, my love?" she asked, her eyes bright with anticipation. "Everywhere. We have a universe to explore, and I can't think of anyone I'd rather get lost in it with." The ship disappeared into the cosmic web, carrying 2 hearts that had found each other across impossible odds, and ready to write their own constellation of adventures among the stars. The end.